I watched the movie I, Tonya recently, and although it was released in 2017, there was a good reason I had waited to watch it. For those of you who don't know, the film tells the story of professional ice skater Tonya Harding and the events leading up to the 1994 assault on Nancy Kerrigan. I remember as a child, my mother regaled me about the attack, which was supposedly a national phenomenon of the 90s. I wouldn't know, I was born in 2001. So, of course, when this movie came out, I had no interest in supporting the romanticization of such a heinous event. However, due to Margot Robbie's increasing prominence and popularity, I thought, what the hell, I'll add another entry to my Letterboxd account. But the movie had a lot more layers to it than I imagined. The film is conveyed in a very informal and comedic style, with characters speaking directly to the audience both through interviews and during real-time events, which is a bit odd considering the movie's plot. It opens up with Harding's abusive mother forcing her into an ice skating career at only 4 years old. It was hard for her to get accepted into the community due to her efforts being a bit unorthodox. Although she's a gifted skater, she doesn't have the image that the National Skating Association is looking for. After a slew of missed marks at competitions, Harding confides in the audience that the system is rigged and it isn't her fault. And it's at this point in the film that I noticed a trend with Harding's character, but we'll get to that in a second. As Harding gets older, she upgrades from abusive mother to abusive boyfriend, then husband Jeff, who frequently strikes her without cause. Tonya chooses to stay with him, though, claiming it isn't her fault that she gets hit. Harding becomes more and more renowned for her skating excellence and reaches global fame in 1991 when she becomes the first woman to perform the triple axel. She qualifies for the Olympics the following year, placing fourth behind Nancy Kerrigan, another very talented U.S. skater. Tonya blames her shoddy skates for her faulty landings that resulted in her placement, another instance of Harding denying any sort of accountability. At the regional championships in '93, Tonya receives a death threat stating that she'll get a bullet in her back if she chooses to compete. An angry Jeff decides to strike back, hiring his Sean to send death threats out to Tonya's competition in retaliation. Afterwards, Sean recruits these two guys in his organization to find Nancy Kerrigan while she's training and scare her out of competing. Tonya and Jeff urge Sean to back out of this plan, but he goes through with it. The cronies, Derek and Shane, arrive at the skating rink, find Nancy Kerrigan, and Shane whacks her in the kneecap with a baton. They peel off in the car, and that's the incident, supposedly. News breaks out that Tonya Harding had something to do with the attack, thanks to Sean drunkenly revealing the entire plan to multiple people at a bar the night prior. Jeff, Sean, Shane, and Derek are all arrested and brought to trial. Meanwhile, Tonya qualifies and chooses to compete in the 1994 Olympics. By this time, Nancy Kerrigan has healed from her injuries and will be competing as well. She wins silver, and Harding places 8th due to a malfunction with her laces that caused agonizing pain. After the Olympics, Tonya Harding goes to trial despite her denial of any involvement in the attack on Nancy Kerrigan, and she is found guilty of conspiracy to hinder prosecution. She is sentenced to a fine of $160,000, 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service, and she's banned indefinitely from U.S. figure skating. Her entire life's work laid to rest because of this scheme, one that she still claims to have had nothing to do with. All she has ever known is taken from her for something that just isn't her fault. Or is it? You see, all this time, Tonya Harding has painted herself as an unfortunate victim who has fallen prey to unfortunate circumstances time and time again. Through and through, Tonya contests any association with the attack, but Jeff, Sean, and Shane, and Derek all claim she knew what was going on. The film depicts the traumatic events of her life as horrible tragedies that have befallen Harding. But why? Was her life truly as unfair and cruel as it was portrayed? Or is the film using this trauma as leverage to mask her actions in '94? The film never answers these questions. They're thrown up in the air, and it's left for us to decide. She will never be to blame. But is it due to bad luck or a fault of character? One thing I can say for certain is that Tonya Harding was a great skater, and she clearly had a passion for it. The real question is, did she love winning more?